they're starting all kinds of projects, but sacrificing their lives for these things. Weren't you starting this thing to get your time back in the first place?
I love this. This is my dream and it's happening and I'm blessed and it's financially good, but am I wearing myself out?
300 people and more that were in retirement or approaching retirement that said, I waited for a time when I'd have more time, more education, more experience, and more money to do what I want to do. Only to find out that when I'm here, 40 years later, I still need more time, more education, more experience, and more money.
He's an award-winning, best-selling author and entrepreneur. His books include Anti-Time Management, The Power of Starting Something Stupid, and Resumes Are Dead, and What to Do About It. And he was named one of the world's top 100 business coaches by Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. He's an international speaker, including TEDx Talks and Google Startup. Richie's a serial entrepreneur, including the founder of Global Consulting Circle, creating scaling business models for venture-backed startups. He is also the CEO and co-founder of Product and Inc. 5000 Company, a global entrepreneurship solution, helping businesses go from idea to market with full service sourcing, product strategy, and end-to-end supply chain. He's an entrepreneurial-minded people. Study Norton's work in blended learning. At age 29, Pacific Business News recognized Richie as the top 40 under 40 best and brightest young businessman in Hawaii. He received his MBA from the world's #1 ranked international business school, Thunderbird School of Global Management. Richie Norton, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, brother? How are you?
There he is, Richie.
Dude, we're making it happen. I'm so excited.
Man, thanks so much for being here, man. This is an honor.
Oh, my honor, brother. I'm super excited. It's gonna be fun.
It's the divine bridge of incidents, I like to call it.
There you go. There you go. Making
Reading
it happen.
your book, manifesting it in Grand Cayman's Island.
Oh,
Great
wow.
Islands. Yep, I was there, and that's where I picked up your book at the perfect time on that vacation with our company, which was nice because I couldn't let go of it, man. And I was making changes automatically. I've actually changed my whole business and my whole mindset and approach on everything in my life. And
No way.
Yeah,
What? Well, oh my gosh. Well, that means the world to me. That makes me so happy, dude. I love it.
Of course, man. It was amazing. And thank you for writing it. And thank you for being here. It's very appreciated. And I did introduce you while I was waiting. So I read your book.
Right.
Very, very impressive.
Perfect.
I'm happy you could be here, man. I have so much on my mind to talk to you about. Very impressive resume that I read. But why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself for those listening that may not know you?
Cool. I'm in Hawaii right now. I live over on the North Shore, and I have I can explain more details later, but I'm married, got 4 kids. I've had 3 foster kids as well. So people are like, how many kids do you have? And I'm like, I got a bunch, like life's wild and crazy. Life's been hard, but life's been really good. And, I write these books. People ask me questions on like, what do I do and how I do it? So I end up writing books about it. And, one of my businesses that has turned out since I wrote this other book called The Power of Starting Something Stupid, turned into me making physical products for people. So we'll make journals, we'll make tiny houses, we'll make yoga pants. So we'll make 100 different products at any given time, usually overseas, and we'll package, ship them, warehouse them, fulfill them so entrepreneurs can just do their thing, And then this book, Anti-Time Management, I realized people, they're starting all kinds of projects, but sacrificing their lives for these things. And I'm like, wait, weren't you starting this thing to get your time back in the first place? And now you've lost even more of it. It's like, well, we need to talk about how to do this a little bit differently so we can really have our freedom and not just pretend like we have it, Yeah.
100%. And before getting into being an author, what did you do before all this?
Yeah. So I'm still doing it. So I started out as a social entrepreneur, meaning the idea is how to help people. The catchphrase is like solve social ills with business skills. So one of my first businesses was actually a cashmere company in Mongolia. And I went to Mongolia. This is like 20 years ago, honestly. Wow. And there's not even a McDonald's there. Like, it's like whole other thing. Wonderful, wonderful, amazing people. And we started this business to help people create their own jobs. And the idea is if you go to college, no matter where it is, Why do you have to go and get a job? Why can't you be a job creator? And even now, some people are like, well, I don't need to go to college at all. Why don't I just start my own? And so I kind of fell into this entrepreneurial world where people were saying, you know what, there has to be another way. And long story short, I started businesses in Papua New Guinea, Japan, Philippines, like all over the Asia Pacific rim. And I wasn't just like hopping around all these places like Samoa and doing these things. I had partners, people that want to start these businesses. And I was like, I'll help you. It was kind of that world in between microfinance and venture capital, maybe not even, you might not even call it angel, but more like that 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 range. People might need a little bit of money to be able to start something pretty cool and employ a bunch of people in, wherever they're from. And people are like, what the heck are you doing? So I'm like, well, I don't know. I was making stuff up so people can kind of live and do their things. And that's when I started getting into all kinds of different stuff, consulting real estate companies, consulting insurance companies, and consulting universities, starting my own businesses around physical products, digital products, coaching, online courses, all that junk. And then people are like, well, I want to get a job. And I'm like, resumes are dead. So I wrote a book about, why resumes are dead. One thing turned to another. But at the end of the day, I don't just start stuff because I want to start stuff. I do it usually because it's fun,
Yeah.
or it's necessary, or because people are asking questions. But really, and we can get into this, but my fourth son passed away. He died of pertussis, whooping cough. And when that happens, like when you have a son that passes away, it changes the way you see the world. When your child passes away, someone that depends on you and you can't do anything about it, it changes the way you see the world. It changed the way I saw time. It changed the way I thought about things. My brother-in-law passed away at 21 in his sleep. Wow. And I'm just like, dude, like what? Because we're taught since we were young that one day you'll grow up and you'll get to be a whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then it's later, well, you won't get to be whatever you want. It's whatever you can do. And then it's like, you'll stay in this job for 40 years and then you'll get to do what you want to do. And you're like, none of it's true. Just do the thing. just do the thing.
Yeah.
My wife had a stroke and lost her memory.
Wow.
She got it back. We had these foster kids come and go after 2 years. That was horrendous. Like wonderful experience with them. Horrendous when they left because it leaves a hole in your heart. I have a son that got hit by a car. Like I share these things really quick because whoever's listening, you're going through stuff. I get it. And even if it's the smallest pain, it kind of feels like it's everything, because even when you stub your toe, that pain fills your whole body for a moment. You know what I mean? Like everything is focused on that one thing.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is like, it's a tunnel, not a cave. Whatever you're going through, whether you're starting your own business, you're doing your own thing, or you're not, whatever you're going through, like your life, your relationships, your time are the most important things. There is a way to have the dream, even when you're going through stuff. Yeah. There is a way. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's not filled also with pain simultaneously. I'm just saying it's not hopeless. And there's a way to make your work support your dream so that you can, help other people and do the things you really want to do.
Yeah. Holy smokes, man. So much of what you just said just resonated with me. And there's about 16 different things. And this is probably going to be the hardest podcast I've ever had to host, because you're right on my frequency, man, with everything that you're saying. It's just crazy. And you're a living example of that. Adversity, we talk about it all the time. And, I'm not sure if you know this, I'm a consultant. I do the same exact thing that you've been through. Online academy with online courses, virtual weekly coaching, and I help businesses get built. I read your book. Okay. And one of the things that I started doing was, and I was already like kind of in the realm of what you were talking about, but I didn't have the specific strategy. And I didn't have somebody like you to tell me like, yes, this is the way. And you kind of solidified it for me, saying like, okay, so this is right. Like I go to weekly coaching with Ed Milet, Ed Milet and Andy Frisilla, right? And I'm in their weekly coaching group, and I never really knew Andy prior, but he's partnered with Ed on this coaching group. And he was talking about on the call, like, you have to be there and you got to take a plane and go get your hands there. And I was like, I think that's a wrong ideology. I think that a lot of times you could build a process and build great people so you don't have to be there. You know, I made a video called last week, The Boss I Never Met, where I met an entrepreneur that's never met their employees before because he has people that are a better boss than him. He doesn't have to be the boss. You focus on what you're good at. For people listening, before I get into my specific opportunities that I have after reading this, because I'm dealing with a lot now and I'd love to get your input on it. For people dealing with it, they're going to say, well, that's good for you to say. I don't have the money to outsource. I don't have the opportunity to get other people. I'm not on that level yet. What do you say to these people that say that they can't free up their time yet because they have to be there? They have to be making money. They have to pay the bills. They don't have the flexibility. What is your roadmap for these people?
If you just say to them, yes, you do, then it doesn't work.
Yeah. It won't work.
And you can say, times and seasons, and you can say all this stuff. But what really changes is when you teach a principle like this, when you say your brain is like a calculator. Like if you tell yourself you can't, your brain will say, you're right. You can't. Like you put in this input, you said this is the output, and even if your brain happens to be wrong, it will confirm to you that you are right. Yeah. So a better way is to be more algebraic in your thinking. How can I do this thing without this terrible thing happening by Tuesday?
Yeah.
And anyone who's been in a situation where they can't pay their rent or they can't pay their mortgage and they really want to, figures it out. No, that's how you get, all these problems and you have all these things. Sure. If you decide that you're not going to, and all of the things, don't fall into place, maybe you won't, and maybe you lose your house and maybe you move on with your life. That happens too. But I'm telling you, when you tell yourself, how can I do this thing without this terrible thing happening by Tuesday or in 90 days or by the end of the year or by whenever, it changes the way you think. You might not have the answer immediately, but when you leave an open space, how can I do this thing? Who can help me with this thing? Why is this thing important? Is it even possible without this fear, this thing that I think is impossible to do, or the bad effects of it? When you take that all away, it opens up a space in your brain that allows you to think. When you do the calculator thing and say, I can't do this, and your brain says, you're right, you can't, it shuts off and moves on to the next problem to solve.
Yes.
So if you want to solve a problem, you need to leave an open space in your brain, create space so that while you're taking a shower, walking the dog, doing whatever you're doing, working really hard while you're driving, it starts to percolate. Like things start to come into your head. You have those aha moments, which aren't actually aha moments. They've been slowly moving for a while because you allowed yourself to think about it. So whenever someone says like, oh, I can't do that because I'm not him, all you can say is, you're right. You are not him or her. You are not going to do it the same way they did it. There might be some things you can learn from them, but your situation's different. There's a different way. And when you start getting really specific, you find ways. I'll give you a real quick example. When I was 16 years old, I told my dad I wanted a job. And my dad said, you don't want a job. I'm like, what? Worst dad ever. What dad tells their 16-year-old son not to get a job? He's like, no, dude, I'm from San Diego. He's like, no, man, you want, you're going to be a kid your whole life. I mean, sorry. You're going to be an adult your whole life. You're only a kid once. Like, you're going to be working and struggling and doing this stuff your whole life. Your job is to like go to school and have fun, get good grades. I'm like, Dad, but I want money, And my dad's an entrepreneur. So I was fortunate in that way to learn these things. And he goes, fine. He said, my options were, which I had done, work at the county fair, picking up trash, work at the local sandwich shop, done both of those things. You know what I mean? Be a babysitter person, do whatever, lemonade stand, all great things. But he says, go to El Centro, which was like 3 hours away from where we lived. And he says, this is no joke. He says, go to the watermelon farmers and ask them if you can buy their irregular sized watermelons because they can't sell them to the stores. I don't know where he got this idea.
Was this in your book?
This is in my book.
Okay.
I think it's also in Who Not How by Ben Hardy and Dan Sullivan. They wrote the story there too.
Yeah, because it sounds familiar.
And I'm like, okay, so my brother, who was 14 at the time, my brother and I, we go down, we fill up our family van full of watermelons. We took the back seats out, whatever. The car is fully low riding. This van is like hitting every bump, we go over. We go back to where we live, and it was around the 4th of July, and we sold the watermelons to family, friends, random people that are walking by, people we would call, from wherever, whatever.
Yeah.
And this is what happened. I made more money. My brother and I made more money in one day than we would have made working minimum wage the entire summer.
It's crazy.
And then I was like, oh, you don't have to trade your time for money. If you have a product or service that is valuable, even if it's a micro scalable type of thing, like in 1 hour, I can sell 20 of these things.
Yeah.
Right. Or 100 of them, or whatever it is. You learn that there are things you can do on the side that don't have to be your main thing, that can become your main thing later. You don't necessarily have to quit your job. Like, you don't have to do things that take up a ton of time. Because when someone says, I don't have this to do it, everyone says, even in retirement, I interviewed over 300 people and more that were in retirement or approaching retirement that said, I waited for a time when I'd have more time, more education, more experience, and more money to do what I want to do. Only to find out that when I'm here 40 years later, I still need more time, more education, more experience, and more money. So you're going to tell a story you're going to tell yourself, or you're going to figure it out. But the problem of you not having time, education, experience, or money does not go away. Even the rich and wealthy people still borrow money and find people that know more than they do to get stuff done. That's how they do it. And I'm not saying you need to borrow money or get in debt. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it's always outside of us, and we have to expand our comfort zone. We don't necessarily have to go out of our comfort zone, even though it might feel like that. Expand it so it becomes part of your natural process to say, I can figure this out.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I always say that growth is found outside the comfort zone. So like everybody I know that's done something great, it was based off something horrible or a big scary change that they made prior to that. Right? Because you said something earlier that if you had to pay your mortgage or you're losing your house, you'd find a way. Right? Why? Because your back's up against the wall. When your back's against the wall, you do things that you've never done before because you have no choice.
That's right.
Could you force your back? So your book kind of did that for me, because your book says, put the end goal as right now. Right?
That's right.
The end result is now. Like, what are you trying to go 40 years and save money? So you're 65 years old on crutches, 70 years old, and then you have money. You just burnt the most important time of your life. Right?
That's right.
So what if you're 65 tomorrow? What do you do? You're 70 tomorrow. What do you do? So that's what that book taught me. It just put the timeline from, and I have a mentor in Miami, and God bless him, because he has Parkinson's now, and he was a business partner for me. And it's crazy because he was the one who always told me in business, when I used to stress out about, either shortcomings or somebody messing up, he used to always tell me, like, this right here is the process. And the most important thing is to enjoy the process, because the destination will always be there. But the memories and the dreams and the laughs and the cries are all found right here within this process. You don't remember where you were going. You remember on the way there what happened, right?
Totally.
I forgot my last 10 goals. I'm ready to focus on my next 10.
That's right.
So it's true. It's about enjoying the process there. And when you say like your brain starts thinking about things, I call it everything in life connects, right? The butterfly effect. If you're not thinking you could do it, those ideas are not going to pop in. So how do you force yourself to keep saying, I can do it? Which I love that you say that. So I think what you're saying, for the people that say, no, I can't, it's great for you to say you have money to buy a person to do this or do that. What you're saying is, think outside of the box. You could be creative and make money that could help you save time from your job, switch to part-time, maybe save a little time there, like start building slowly. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Like if you say that I don't have money to outsource, I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong. Maybe you don't. You know what I mean? Yeah. There are these people. It is weird when people say I don't have money and they have $100,000 in their 401k. I'm like, you don't have. I can't pull out of my 401k to retirement. You go, I'm over here like spending every dime to make this work, and you're hiding. Like who are you? Like what do you think you are? We got to keep it safe. You go, keep playing it safe, bro. Keep playing it safe. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing wrong or right about it. It's just it is what it is. So when someone says they don't have money, you go, cool. What would it look like to do it without money? I mean, the worst Kickstarters are the ones that get funded and they calculated the numbers wrong and they didn't realize they had to pay shipping and now they can't fulfill, or they have to borrow money from someone else to do it. And it's the same thing in like business and life with money stuff. Someone go, I don't have money. And you go, if you have money, it's a cushion. People waste it. People, yes, it is a luxury to be able to go and throw around 10, 20, 100 grand, $1 million. I guess you can keep going up the scale of how rich you are. It is a luxury. And they generally waste it until they find the right thing. So if you don't have the luxury to waste money, you have to find the right thing. That comes from listening to podcasts, finding mentors, reading books. It comes from the work. It comes from the work. It took work to get that money, but once you have money, sometimes people don't spend it as wisely. This is a real thing, man. And so when you have to figure out how to do this without money, then you say, you put the two together. Okay, I have money. I'm going to hire this person for 50 or 100 grand a year, or a contractor that does it by the project or whatever. Then you say, but what if there's a way to do this without money? What would that look like? Oh, they get paid on commission. Oh, I do pre-sales. Hello, which is way smarter. You know what I mean? Like, so when you start thinking, how can I do this even though I don't have this thing? This is where innovation comes from. Invention is inventing something. It's new, it's different, it's cool. Innovation is taking that thing to market. Innovators do stuff without money. Innovators also do stuff with money. But if you're in the position you're in, you either have it or you don't. And you work from there.
You probably started with no money.
And that's what's funny is like most successful people, I don't know about most, but whatever it is, they start out with nothing. They figure it out and now they're in a different place. And so they're doing things differently. And a lot of them actually, they get scared of doing a new thing. No joke. Successful people have a very hard time moving to the next level because once you've mastered something, where do you go from there? You mastered it. It's only downhill from there. And so to do something new, it's a giant fall to start over and to think differently and to do it the way you used to on a new project, because people are going to look at you sideways. Why is this guy doing this weird stuff when he could be doing it this way? Yeah. And then they get stale and life becomes hard. I work with these people all the time trying to reinvent themselves and they have millions of dollars. And you're like, wow, does this process ever end? No, it doesn't. That's why you got to work from your purpose, because the process can change based on the purpose.
Yeah. And again, that's where the growth happens, when they take those extra steps to go to those new levels and try new things, right? Because they're out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, man.
I have here for you, I'm just going through the contest because I took some notes while I was reading the book. Work for flexibility, not balance. Chapter 2, how to own your time, right? I think one of the things that helped me gain a lot of flexibility in my life is what I call the miracle morning, right? Do you wake up early? What time do you wake up?
I don't use an alarm clock. I just kind of wake up whenever it feels good.
Nice. Yeah. I realized that waking up sometimes at 5 a.m. was something that gave me a lot of extra more time and focus and energy into my day, because those 3 hours in the morning with no distractions were very powerful for me. Do you ever get up when nobody else is up around you to get some of your work done or to get in your mind?
Yes, I do. But for me, and I don't project like what I do is the best way to do it. It's whatever works best for the individual.
Yeah.
But for me, I focus on projects and results. And so when I do it is less important to me than the fact that it gets done. And so I surround myself or create an environment where things can get done. So if I need to get up at 5 or 6 in the morning because of some reason, sure, I will. But to be real, like in Hawaii, the time zones are so weird. Yeah. And because I work internationally, I could be talking to people in China all night long, and then people on the East Coast all day long, and then people, on the West Coast all evening long. I'm like it would never stop. Yes. So for me, like, for example, like when we want to get on a podcast, like I get over 50 to 100 requests to be on a podcast every freaking month. It's out of control. Yeah. And I can't do them all, nor do I want to. So like, I'm like, I'll do them around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. And
Yeah.
like, if it fits, it fits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Right. So at some point I'm taking control of the space of when I work and when I don't work. And it doesn't matter what's happening around me because I'm not catering to other people. I am, because I love and care for them. But I've also realized I can do it in a way that works for me and for them at the same time.
But you've built yourself up to this point. It wasn't always like this, right?
It wasn't always like this, but to be real, I realized that it could have been, because it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice of when you work and
Yeah.
when you don't. You know, like if you have a job, like, no, it's not the same. They tell me when to work, and I go, well, that's true, but you also chose that job. So like, stop talking like that.
Yeah.
like take responsibility for your freaking life, man. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't believe in salaries, timelines. You just believe in projects.
no, I mean, I believe in them. You know what I mean? They're all important.
Well, like you wouldn't
they're all
choose
different
them, though.
things.
You would definitely choose projects over doing them with your own flexibility.
I would choose projects.
Do you work mostly virtual now?
Yeah, everything I do is for my cell phone. Like, there's a time where, so it was after our foster kids went. They were with us unexpectedly, and then we loved them. We were trying to adopt them. There was for 2 years. They ended up going back to Biomom, which was wonderful, but also there's a reason they were in our care, and it was horrifying. Like, thinking about them being gone hurts sometimes worse because I don't know how they're doing. You know, when someone passes away, there's a finality to it. You know, hopefully we'll see them again in the next life. But when someone you love is out there, you're like, oh, this is hard. And it was really hard on our family. And we ended up going on the road for 6-7 months. Like, we flew to New York. We drove all the way up and down, zigzagging. You never know where we're going to stay at night, on purpose. And we went to San Diego, Mexico, Canada, back to Hawaii. And it sounds like it's a real fun adventure, and it is. But you're not, when you run away from things, you're not really running away from them, especially when you're in a car with people. Inside of a car, you know, especially with little kids, it gets wild, you know?
Yes.
What I learned from that is that I could work from my cell phone. And this is, by the way, this is when cell phones closed.
Yeah.
Like, this is before it was cool. This is like, and I learned, like,
Sony Ericsson days.
Yeah, like, if you give yourself a positive constraint. So I told myself, how can I make money on the road? I'm not spending money like that we have. I'm not spending money that's like through debt. I want to spend the money I make it, as if I had a job.
Yeah.
And I learned that with that positive constraint, or forcing function, as certain, you know, psychologists might call it, I learned that not only was it possible, but it forced me to think differently. So if I had to, like, sign a piece of paper, sure, maybe there's DocuSign or Write Signature, whatever they are now, or I have to go email it to a what's it called, FedEx, Kinko's kind of thing, and, you know, go and sign it there. And you're like, that's so basic. You go, exactly. When you work from your purpose, it changes how you're paid.
Yeah.
So most people go like this: I'm going to get a job, and because of the way they get paid, meaning, I don't mean whether it's by wire or check or deposit. That's not what I mean. I mean where they physically have to be to do the work to get it done. If you have to be in an office and you have to move to, just pick anywhere in the United States or anywhere in the world, your lifestyle now revolves around that location. Hands down, cannot change it. That is the way your lifestyle works. Sure, you can go on vacation, but your lifestyle is your location. Yeah. So if you want to live a different lifestyle, if you wanted to live in Montana fishing for some reason, you could likely do the same work in Montana today virtually as you could physically in New York. And they go, that's crazy, you can't do that. And you go, try it, man. It's totally possible. Welcome to the 21st century. We've been taught for 200 years now that you had to be in a certain place at a certain time to get the work done, and it was watched, and they told you when to get it done and how to get it done, and everyone became robots. Now the robots are becoming robots, taking over the jobs we had, only forcing us to become more human and more creative. And that's our opportunity in the 21st century.
I was just in Miami, and I just want to let you know, you inspired this picture.
Oh, I like this. Tell me more about this picture.
Did my consulting from there in the room, connected my laptop to the TV with the HDMI, took my calls
Oh,
there, and I ended up making a new account there that I did a live training for and a
no
live
way.
consulting with. So I made a new account on vacation, still did my work, still enjoyed my vacation with my family, and
That's amazing.
everything connected, you know. So you don't believe in work-life balance. You believe in just balance in general, right?
Yeah, balance is a funny word. I'm a weird guy. Like I look into the definitions of words,
Yeah.
I'm an author guy, so I got to think
Yeah.
about these things. And I was
Yeah.
like, first of all, every rich person I've met tells me they do. Every single one, and famous person I've met tells me they don't have work-life balance. And I'm thinking that sucks.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
spent all this time and money to create
Yeah.
all this time and money, and you can't even use it. You know, and
Yeah.
they're losing their families over it, and you're like, geez. Way to be an example, you know? And there's nothing sadder than like a super rich and famous person that's like super sad and doesn't have time. You're like, what? Come
Yeah.
on. You know,
Yeah.
like I get it, but come on, you have everything.
Yeah.
And I realize it's a choice in how you work. So if you look at balance by definition, balance means it's motionless. A basketball balanced doesn't move.
Yes.
That's not the point of basketball. It's to move it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's to actually make it unbalanced or imbalanced, so to speak, so that it can get into the hoop. That is the
Yes.
purpose, to push the ball forward to a location that you'd like it to be.
Yes.
So when someone says they want balance, I get what they're saying, but they don't actually want balance.
Yeah.
They think what they really want is what they think will come from balance. So I define work-life flexibility as three things: autonomy, ability, and availability. If you're autonomous, you can choose how you do your things. If you're able to do it. If you're available, then you're available for it. So like a lot of people don't have autonomy, which means they're really good at something, but someone else is telling them when and how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, many entrepreneurs who strive for work-life balance or work-life flexibility, they have autonomy and they're very good at what they do, or they hire people that are good at what they do to make it work, but they're not available. They're not available to be at their kid's recital, their kid's baseball game. They're not available for vacations, and they're not available really to show up for their work in a real way that is bigger than them. They're stuck operating and doing these things.
Mm-hmm.
These are not rights or wrongs. These are choices they made that led them to do this. And then they say, I thought I was doing this thing to get more time, but now I've lost all my time in it. Yeah, you decided to go into this hustle culture, which never taught you how to live from your dreams.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because it feels like you're free from prison when you truly understand that it doesn't have to be like that. Because I work with some Fortune 500 companies, and a lot of them are commission based, and you'll find the senior leaders there, the divorce rates through the roof, you know, and these leaders sacrifice their whole lives to these companies. And then it's like, when you die, is the company going to go down with you? You know, what are you going to take down with you after the family's gone and you've missed all the events for your kids? And like, that's it. You're just going to hang
That's right.
what you've done for the company. And
That's
it's
right.
like, that's prison to me now.
It's
right.
It's prison, and they're not proud of it.
No, they're missing something.
They're
They're
not
always
proud
going to
of
be
it.
missing something.
They know it's an issue.
Yeah.
And I can say this confidently because every person's different. They have their own situation. There's no blaming. There's no judging. We're looking at it objectively.
Yeah.
But when you ask somebody, like, is that, that classic line, no one on their deathbed wishes they were, had spent more time in the office. Yeah, true. But also when you're 25 or 35 or 45 or 50 or whatever age you are, you might tell yourself, you trick yourself that you're doing these things for your family at the actual sacrifice of them.
Yes.
Why? Because you were taught that.
Yeah.
And so I think of it like baking a cake. Like if you bake a cake without sugar, you can't expect it to be sweet.
Yes.
Now I know with keto and stuff, you can make it sweet in other ways. Like I get it, right? But
Yeah.
we gotta stay strong. But what I really mean is, if your values are the sugar, stop sprinkling them on top. Like bake it in from the start. Like work from your values.
Build your moat.
You build your moat. Yeah. Don't like you should value your time. Don't time your values.
Yes.
Right. A cake. It's like this. If you really value your time, you really work from your values, you will choose to do the things that are most valuable to you. And if you by default now are putting work first over your values, family, time, relationships, etc., well, then you have by default told the world what's more important to you. No, that's not me. I'm just waiting until this big payoff later. There's no big payoff.
Mm-hmm.
Even the
payoff is life.
Yes. Even if there's a big payoff, there's not a big payoff.
Yeah.
The big payoff is actually being able to do it right now, because how you spend your time is how you show your love. And if you decide that you're going to sacrifice what you love for success, it doesn't work, because when you sacrifice what you love for success, you get neither.
Yeah. I love
crazy
that.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
But a lot of these should be dropped. What is your purpose?
Oh man, that's a hard one.
You work from your purpose. What is Richie's purpose?
I try to be available for my family, which is the most important thing to me. And I got to be real. Just because I'm available for them doesn't mean like I'm the perfect husband or dad. Not even close.
Or else you'd be writing relationship books.
There you go. You know, and just because I'm available or able or I have autonomy doesn't mean that things don't go wrong or that things aren't hard, because they obviously do. And in my life, it's pretty apparent. But what it means is I have that space to make better choices, because I've created sort of a situation where I can stop and think about it. And instead of reacting, kind of being a little more proactive about it. And so for me, you know, as far as purpose goes, and as far as like there is an overall purpose, you know, of being a good human being and taking care of your family and, you know, and professionally reaching as many people as you can and sharing good messages. Those are all purposes for me. But the way I operationalize it for someone who's listening to this is I do it with four P's, which are personal, professional, people, and play. And so I'll try and say, what am I trying to do personally for me? What am I trying to do professionally for the world? Who are the people in my life that are most important? And what are the things that make me feel like I'm lighting up again? You know, what's playful, what's fun, what's vacation, what does this look like? And if I make choices from that purpose, those four things, then I make choices that are in alignment with who I am and what I want to do. And I become that person, that future person. I become that person right now. It also changed the way I'm paid. So if I say, oh, if I take this job, I'm not going to be able to do these things. Is that in alignment with these things that are most important to me? Yes or no? If they are, do it. If not, don't do it unless I'm going to change those purposes.
Yeah.
And then I'm doing it intentionally, transformationally, instead of just like, oh, I have to do this. Because when you feel like you have to do this, you're usually wrong.
Yeah.
And when you say you have to do this, it usually means you're compromising something important to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't say you have to.
Yeah. It's so strong because a lot of these companies always say they operate from their core values. Companies make decisions from their values. Is it in line with our values? But how often do you hear people say they make decisions off their personal values and off their personal purpose? And I always tell people, why do we spend so much time on a business plan and investing and looking into stocks when we are the business? We are the stock.
That's good.
The most important one you have.
Totally.
Right?
Totally agree.
So I love that, man. Working from the purpose. I couldn't agree with you more. And for everybody listening, I mean, I've been recommending this book left and right, but a phenomenal book. I'm going to come out to Hawaii and see you soon. Hopefully,
let's hang out.
I haven't been there yet. So, okay. So I took your advice. Okay. Here's what I'm struggling with. I'd love to get your feedback with it. I'm doing consulting with the online academy. It comes with a monthly subscription and it gets weekly coaching. So I was thinking from the mind state of 1 hour a week, I meet with my whole community, salespeople for 1 hour and leaders for 1 hour. It's 2 hours a week. I love doing it. It's for my purpose. I could pick when I do it. I could do it virtually. That's great, right? People wanted my time more. So I started building personal custom consulting packages for people. It's like 10 sessions start up and it's front loaded. I do the 10 sessions. I record them, upload them into a portal for you that you could onboard your people through. The issue is It's front loaded and it takes 10 hours of my time for every new package I sign. And I'm blessed because people are calling me for this package because it's working and I'm giving businesses 5-6x increases, but it keeps taking up that time. So for example, yesterday I found myself 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Was I really happy at the end of the day and like, rah, rah, and like working from the purpose? No, I was kind of worn out, you know, and I'm like, I love this. This is my dream and it's happening and I'm blessed and it's financially good. But am I wearing myself out? Did I take in too much? Should I slow down and pick like, how would Richie look at this situation? Would you slow down on the customers and kind of do it at your own pace? Or would you say like, no, this business is here now. I don't want to lose it. Like, which way
Okay,
would
so
you look at it? Because that's what I'm facing now.
yeah,
I'm facing that the more clients I get, they want my time individually, which I'm not going to decline. I have a hard time declining it because I feel like these are my long-term clients that are going to eventually get me to 100, 200 companies at 1,000 a month to bring in 100, 200,000 passive income, which is where I'm headed, you know? So I'm trying to keep building the circle and it front loads my time.
I love that. Well, like, to be real, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I think you're doing it
No.
right. You know what I mean? Like, everything you're doing is amazing. And I would start asking different questions though, like to yourself, you know, like if you say, where do I want to be in 2 years? And you go, well, I want 1,000 people paying me $1,000. Well, that's $1 million. You know what I mean? Like a month, you know, or wherever the number is, 200 paying $1,000, you know, that's 200 grand a month. All of that's good. There's this idea though, a side note too, like the fact that you talk to people individually or you create custom stuff is really cool and really important. There are not enough experts today that talk to people. They will not talk to people. They refuse. And it's the most inhumane thing because they're like, I will only do virtual, you know, I will only talk to groups. I will only do these courses, and like nothing wrong with that. But the coaches that talk to people one-on-one make the greatest change. And you'll see that some of them start charging $250,000 a year just to talk to them, and like, or whatever it is. It starts to get really, really out of this world. But the fact that you're willing to make it custom and be concierge level is a secret sauce. Okay.
Yes.
Then that said, though, if you feel like it's taking up a lot of your time, here's one analogy. Back in the day, this guy, Frederick Taylor, he's the one that kind of invented this whole idea of time management. And he would, which the point was never to give people their freedom. It was just to help them get the work done faster, right? So they were just really just kind of watching people, really taking away their autonomy. And just saying, just do this thing. And they would watch people shoveling and they would say, how is the shovel person doing this? And how do they get it out? And what's the fastest? And they would make everyone do the same thing. But then you fast forward a little bit and you start talking to other important people in history, including people like Henry Ford and others. And they start looking at it and they're like, why are you studying how someone shovels?
Yeah.
When there's no shovel needed at all. Like we have backhoes now, and we have all kinds of things. And they go like, are they digging a hole? Is a hole needed at all? Is a hole needed at all? And then if there's not a hole needed, what else would we be doing? So where I'm going with this is some of the stuff that you're saying that you're doing is exactly what you told them you would do and you promised them. So I'm not looking at it as right or wrong. I'm not even looking at it at a value proposition. I'm looking at it from the point of view of what you like and want to do.
Yes.
If you don't like and want to do it, then you should create a new proposal that doesn't include the things that you don't like and want to do.
Yeah.
Just because you think they need it and want it doesn't mean it's necessarily true. They could need and want something else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you still decide that you think they need it, well, then sure. Yeah, maybe you keep doing it, but maybe it's done a different way. Maybe the introductory video is the custom one, and maybe the 9 others is already done.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, that would save a bunch of your time. I don't know if that's the right answer, but you start looking at it from the point of view as, does it need to be done at all? And if not, because value has to be there, what does the value look like that can be done in a way that I like it? And if I don't like it, yes, who can I have on my team do these parts? But you are batching it and you are making it happen. So that's amazing. I would just say, if you feel like it's unsustainable, I would say, is there something else you could replace it with that you
Yes.
actually like doing.
Yes. Yes. If you put a gun to my head and told me you have till tomorrow to figure this out, I would figure it out. I'm already
That's right.
thinking that I could combine companies together for a cheaper price and put 6 companies together at
That's
once.
that's a great way of thinking.
Yes.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. You'll notice in the book I talk about kind of like a tripod of time of organizations, kind of like Elon Musk. He'll put together these different companies, and they're all independent. They're all independent, but they're interdependent. They help each other. You know what I mean? Like the solar thing, and the car thing, and the space thing, and the boring thing.
Yeah.
They support each other with tech and resources and people. I mean, he just put this Dogecoin thing on Twitter. You're like he gets them to work together. So all of a sudden you start bundling your existing resources and leveraging them, and you go, oh my gosh, I had everything at my disposal already. Why do I have to start over? You don't.
Yeah. I'm a partner at Rocket Mortgage.
Mm.
And they have 200 companies within their family of companies, and every company feeds each other.
Wow.
It's
There you
called the
go.
family of companies, and one of their principles is we eat our own dog food. So everything is transferred across, and it's crazy how everybody feeds each other, and the great leaders leave one company and build another one, and it's just breeding.
I love
everywhere.
that.
Yeah.
I love that. And if you look at like that's amazing. And if you look at like a Procter and Gamble kind of company, they have a family of brands. How does that work? How do they have all these different things in different places? And you go, well, it works because I'm gonna get super real. They know the buyer of every store. The buyer buys everything in all those different spaces. Why not have all the different kinds of things when there's the one buyer? You know what I mean? Like you have the distribution channels. Now you could have 20 different products. Now I'm oversimplifying, but that's one way to look at it, So starting to pull your resources together is a great way to do it.
Yeah. Especially with, it's like they have data, data is so important these days online.
There you go.
Are you collecting emails when people purchase your book online?
Yeah, I try getting emails from the actual book sales hard when you work with a traditional publisher, because those books are at Barnes and Noble and Amazon, and they don't give them. So in the book, you'll notice that I say, download this free thing. You know what I mean? And people do. But also inside that, I get their email, of course, but I will have a survey. What are you doing? What's your situation? If you could ask me any question, what would it be? How much money are you making? Would you be interested in coaching and consulting? So then I can go down the list and just kind of go, this is like an interesting person to work with today. Why don't I send them an email, or my team, or whatever it looks like. But yeah, you have to have, like they say, if you have a bucket with holes and you're trying to fill it up with water, I mean, it is going through. If you can plug those holes, then you have buckets and buckets of water to draw from, whenever you need them.
100%. I always tell leaders, your job as a leader is to plug the holes in your boat every single day and understand there's always going to be a hole. That's how you stop stressing about leadership. You wake up and say, I'm going to have 3 holes today. Somebody's going to come in late. Somebody has a breakup. Somebody has this, just prepare for the worst. I call it fruit ninja, the fruits in the air. Be ready to slash them every single day when you go out.
I love it.
I did do the videos at first, by the way, on the portal, the leadership videos and the sales videos, and people keep saying, we want you. You're what sells. Everyone does videos. That's how it's different. So I think I know where you're headed with it, and I think I know what I need to do. I still love doing it. My whole dream was to travel and do it and enjoy the process at the same time. So I think that it's okay to do a little bit of front loading to figure things out and as long as I'm working for the purpose and I'm building the moat as I go, I think it'll eventually get there as everything in life connects.
I 100% agree. And to me, I'm not judging or telling anyone how to live or what to do. What I'm trying to say is, if you don't like what you're doing, why? And there is another way. You know what I mean? So people are like, there's so many different things that I want to do, and do them. Why wouldn't you? Oh, because this thing. That's not true. Stop playing the blame game, And if you can free up 80% of your time because you stop doing the things that don't matter anymore, then you can double down on the 20% that you do like and want to do. And the stuff that you have to get done, but you don't want to get done. Sure. Maybe you have to grind and get it done, just like every person on earth has to do. We're very fortunate. Let's not pretend, but at the same time, there might be a way to outsource it, delegate it. Maybe it's really not necessary. Maybe you can eliminate. Maybe there's some software you can use. And all of a sudden you're shrinking down all this stuff that wastes your time into almost nothing. And now you have an abundance of time for what you really want, which are opportunities and serving your clients. If they want more videos from you and you're willing to do them, now you would have more time to do them. And yes, do it while you're on the road. They think that's cool. Like, why not? That's what they want too, you know?
Yeah.
So there you go.
When you outsource, do you ever find an issue? Like, I've outsourced so many things, but I find that they're not done right, or it's not done the same, or there's not the level of care there that I really want. So you got to go back and then meet with them and say, this is how I want it. Then meet with them again. Like, how do you detach yourself from the outcome? Or do you just have to accept that it's not going to be to your standards? It's going to be a little less, and that's a sacrifice you have to make. Because I'm trying to let go and I can't.
all of those things, it's not easy. But you mentioned the moat earlier. So the idea is you have a castle, you can live from the dream, and you have a moat to protect it. Where most people will start with a moat and they'll never make it to the castle at all, right? Yes. Okay. So when it comes to delegating and outsourcing, this is very important. You have to focus on ends, not means. When you say, I want this thing done, I want this result by this certain day, you need to give up the way that they do it. Because when you focus on the way that they do it, that takes away their ability to be a leader, to be creative, and to get it done. Now, if you don't teach them the way to do it, how in the world are they going to get it done? Sure, there's a give and take. But in reality, if you hire an expert, they don't have to cost all the money in the world, but an expert is inherently expert, which means they do not need to know how to do it because they have already done it 10 times more than you have. They should be training you on how to do it.
Yes.
And then even then, of course, if they get it wrong or there's this or that, that's that. The challenge is when an entrepreneur says, I'm going to hire someone for the cheapest I can. And it's someone who I intentionally know doesn't know how to do it because I'm trying to get the best rate. They are setting themselves up for failure, them and yourself. Because you're saying, I actually have two jobs now, the job to get it done and the job to train you and do it. Why would you do that to yourself? That is not a replacement. That is not delegation. That is not outsourcing. That is hiring an incompetent person that you're going to train. Now you're a trainer. Why would you do that? Wait, one more thing. People get freaked out. Like, oh, I have to be there and I have to do it. That's fine. But I've been in venture capital. The most scalable companies are the ones where the founder and CEO are not in the way. If the founder or the CEO is in the way, the bottleneck is them. They can't scale. So if you can say, how can I run this business without me? You're actually building a possible scalable business.
Yeah.
And you can focus on what you like and want to do, and it runs on its own. And that's magic. Yes. People don't realize that. They don't realize that. And it's really important to think about. It's actually more important to the company that you're living your dreams and doing your things, because in venture capital, when they say, oh, you're doing this thing to change the world, they're half lying because they're really doing it for an exit. And when you ask someone, what will they do when they exit? And they say, it's this next thing. That actually means they're probably working on that next thing in the middle anyways. So if you can rescue that dream from the end of the timeline and bring it front and center as part of what you're doing now, people don't leave because they love it. Zuckerberg is still there. Come on, man. Like, he loves it for better or for worse. What else would he do with this time?
Jeff Bezos just got out.
He's out. You know what I mean? So but Jeff Bezos had a brain double. He hired some guy that he trained up, that he taught how to do it for 20 years or whatever it was. And he could leave because he was already operating without him and nobody knew. I mean, to an extent, you know what I mean? So like,
is that the only way? Because I wish your book had a bonus chapter, or maybe it'll be in your next book, that said duplicating yourself is the only way. Because Jeff Bezos, he had somebody shadow him for 50, and at Rocket, they do the same thing. They shadow for years and years till they finally take over that position, because they know that's like a brain double, you know? Is that the only way? Did you ever duplicate yourself first? Have you duplicated yourself?
Always.
Okay.
Always.
What's your best method for that?
But I also duplicate myself in the things I don't know how to do. So like I build a better avatar, than me, so to speak. And I'm gonna be real. Like, you can train someone and they can work with you forever, and that's a great thing. You should have that if that's possible. let's be real. Most entrepreneurs have their backup. Most people live on what, less than $2 or $3 a day in the world, and they're forced to be entrepreneurs out of necessity to feed their family. That's it. Like it's this luxury thing we have in the first world to say, I'm going to go and be an entrepreneur. If you get paid every 2 weeks, some company, I mean, that's butter, man. You know what I mean? Like, come on. So it's like real good until we find out that tens of thousands of people are getting their jobs taken away every single day right now because of the economy. Anyways, so the way you do it is to hire an expert. It fast forwards the whole thing. So if there's someone, if you are the face and you have to be the face, you did that on purpose, and that's hard to leave. Unless you start pivoting and saying, I will continue to be the face, or I'm going to bring in this new face, which is possible too. Here's my team. It's not about me. Welcome to the team. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'll give you an example of exactly how I've done it. A lot of my clients are creators, YouTubers that have over 1 million subs or more, and they want to make physical products so they can be their own brand and not just do the sponsorship and the ad thing, because there's always an ad apocalypse around the corner and the sponsors might dry up, especially in a bad economy. This is real. So we have them start selling their own stuff. In addition to that, they would tell me they wanted their time back because they would go with their families to Disneyland. And while they're at Disneyland, the mom and dad look like they're there, but in reality, mom and dad were there for an hour because then dad went back and started editing the videos all night and day. Mm-hmm. They weren't having fun. And I'm like, okay, cool. How can I get you your time back? And so I started thinking, well, they say their creativity comes from being there. Their creativity comes from them editing. Their creativity comes like, is that true? Is that really true? And at the end of the day, well, I'll fast forward. I don't know how to edit videos. I just knew my clients wanted their time back. So I started developing a program and a system and work with a lot of people until I found like one really good guy who helped me build out a whole other team of editors. I have a company that's editing hundreds of videos for YouTubers. I have 1 million subs or more every month. I do not know the first thing about editing a video. I couldn't if I tried. You're like, oh yeah, I could learn. It would take time. Yeah, sure. And I might be able to do 1 or 2, but I'm doing over 100 a month because I hired experts and I doubled myself, even the skills that I'm not good at. How do I pay them? Client pays me. I pay the client. I mean, I pay the editors.
Yeah, same thing.
What do you tell me? Like, yeah. Do I need all this money to do it? If I was an idiot, I could have opened an office pre-pandemic, mm-hmm. and I could have had 50 guys in there doing this stuff. That would have been a really bad choice.
Yeah.
Instead, they can work from wherever they want. As long as it gets done, I don't care how it gets done. As long as the creator can improve it and it's done and it's good and it's all through trust, we're good. So you can double yourself by working with experts.
Are you sure? Are you sure you don't own Upwork?
That was definitely a pitch for Upwork. You should definitely check it out there.
Well, I made a YouTube documenting the journey of finding people, and the CEO actually reached out to me. It was pretty cool. And I was going to tell him, you sure you're not Richie? Because it sounds like you got this in Richie's book. How often do you self-reflect?
Oh, it's constant, and it's not on purpose. It's just constantly happening, for the worse, self-editing and wishing I was better, or wishing I would have said something. And then I try to remember, you know what? No one's really going to remember that thing or this or that, unless it was recorded. That's another issue. You know what I mean? But like, I just do my best, but I'm always trying to think, how can the next one be better? And if it's a business thing, how can I develop myself in a way that creates more time? If I didn't like doing that thing, why? Is there another way to do it? So I'm constantly self-reflecting on personal growth.
How do you deal with stress?
I go surfing and I walk on the beach.
So surfing, do you do like meditation?
I would say my walks on the beach with my dog are my meditation. I'm not cross-legged, making sounds and thinking about life. That's my wife. She's a fan of yoga and Pilates. You know what I mean? But nice. For me, I kind of walk in circles, and then I walk on the beach or go for drives. And another real one would be listen to I don't know, loud, fast music. You know what I mean? Music that I like from my teenage years or something. It kind of gets me in a better mood. So
do you ever back out of the circle when you're in a rut and say, I need some space? And
always.
So you don't operate unless you're in flow.
Well, I've never told myself that, but maybe I do that.
Yeah. What other hobbies instead of surfing do you like on your free time?
I like to play guitar. And right now, my kids are in their teen years. So I'm feeling like those dad things, like these are my last chances. You know what I mean? So I'm usually focused on what does this kid need and want? What can we do together to go have fun? Like go to a concert or go traveling. Like we're going to Japan, on Tuesday for 2 weeks with the family. I have a son that's actually in Africa right now doing service. Like I have one going we were doing all kinds of stuff, man. But my hobbies look more like, sure, guitar and music and the beach, but I try to focus my energy more on how I can help, people around me with what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I used to actually get up, record content, write down scripts, and I realized that I don't like doing that. It's wasting so much time. So I just started, like, if you see, recording everything every single day.
That's awesome. That's
so,
awesome.
And then guess what? The video at the end of the day, 8 hours, editors make me 10 videos, social media person, post. I'm completely hands off social media besides messaging you.
You're set. I love it. I love it.
I got everything in place. The only thing I'm working on is just, the consult. I haven't replaced myself as a consultant or built a team yet because I feel like I'm the value and I need to get rid of that because that's not the case.
Yep.
There could be duplicates with me that could shadow me that I could build up on the team as well.
It's true.
This show's called Shotcast, not podcast, because we want to give a shot of inspiration, which you've given a ton of inspiration. But if there was one last thing you could leave everybody listening with, what's one thing you want everybody to walk away thinking about or knowing?
If you have something on your mind that you really want to do and it hasn't gone away, there's a reason it hasn't gone away. And it either means it's something really important or it's something out there, that's trying to get you to do something good in the world. But if you haven't done it, it usually means it's because you've labeled it stupid. It's not for you. You're afraid. You have some negative pride. You have procrastination, whatever that is. And I would suggest that you start. And the START is an acronym for serve, think, ask, receive, and trust. Start serving other people in that thing that you think, you hope, you want to do. Thank them for the opportunity, for the chance to help them, even though they should be thanking you. Earn the right to ask for help. Don't just ask and don't be a mooch. Earn it. And then, serve, thank, ask, receive that opportunity to work with more people, and trust. Trust your purpose and trust that you'll find a process that will help you do it. If you start with service, it's really hard to go wrong. You'll find out if you like it or if you don't. And if you want to move forward, if you don't, you'll find a network of people that can help you make it happen. So be bold and go.
Thank you, Richie, man. It's been great having you. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm going to put all your links on the bottom here. Everybody listening, please go get this guy's book. I mean, I'm talking about real freedom. Real freedom, passion, dreams, purpose. This is the real American dream, and this man will definitely help you get there. Thank you for being on Shotcast. We appreciate you, brother.
Dude, love you so much.